Sage Wanderer here, and welcome to Story Time with Uncle Sage. This is the story of the time that I was in maximum security prison. Don't. So, those of you who know my history know that the title of this is a little bit of clickbait, since you know I've never been incarcerated. I've never been arrested. The only time I ever saw the inside of a cop car is when my buddy, the cop, thought it was funny to, see if I wanted to know what it was like to see the inside, and then slam the door on me. And that's how I found out that there aren't any doorknobs, door handles on the inside of the back seat of a cop car. That's how I found that out. I had no idea, so he locked me in there. He thought it was funny. But, so I've never been in trouble with the law. I've always been a law keeper, not a law breaker. And anyway, so how did I end up in maximum security prison? Well, as a part of a praise and worship team, we did prison ministry into a maximum security prison. And I got to say that this is worth telling the story of, because the whole thing was unnerving. It was extremely unnerving. You know what? It was a little bit of a scared straight episode for me, in the fact that I realized then and there, I never want to go to prison. I do not, I'm not going to prison. That's just not going to happen. I'm going to keep on the straight and narrow so I don't end up down in that prison. But let me tell you the story of the time that I spent 6 hours in a maximum security prison. Now, when they first brought it up, I'm like, oh yeah, absolutely. Jesus said, we got to visit people in prison. And, so I wanted to do my part, yeah, I'll go minister to these people. I'm not afraid. And we had a big praise and worship team. I think there was probably 9 of us in the praise and worship team. Drummer, guitar players, keyboard player, female vocalists, male vocalists, percussionists. It's a big group. And so we show up on the night that we're supposed to do the concert. And that's what it is. It's going to be a concert, a praise and worship concert, Christian concert. I don't think there was any preaching on the docket, just music. And so we show up with all of our gear. And they tell us where there's a load-in door, and we go there to start to load in. And they have us move the gear into a space that is like a huge hallway. The hallway is it's as big as the bay of a diesel truck mechanic place where you'd pull a big diesel truck in and work on it. So it was a good size, warehouse size room. And there was a steel door that came up and down like this. And it wasn't in sections. It was a solid steel door. It was a bulletproof, maybe bomb resistant door. And it came up straight up like this. It didn't roll up like a garage door. It just came straight up enough for you to get underneath it. And so the door goes up, and we load all of our equipment into this room there's just one single door. It doesn't look like it just looks like a room. And they're not really explaining to us what we're doing. They're just like, put all your gear in this room. So we load all our stuff into that room. And then he tells everyone, okay, everyone come inside the room okay, is everybody in? You've got everything? You're not going to go back for anything? Nope, okay. And the guy that's in there with us, they close the door down. Now we're in a room with no doors or windows. I mean, I know that I just came in as a door, but it just doesn't look like a door. It looks like a wall now when the door comes down. And so I'm starting to freak out. The guy that's in there with us, he takes the time now, and they had us come like 3 hours early. So it takes about 30 to 45 minutes now while he checks every single piece of luggage. He checks every single piece of gear. Every guitar case, every gear bag, everything we've got, he's checks it all. And searches everything. And what's funny is right before he searches everything, he asks us all for permission to search. And then he gives us all paperwork. Before he does any of this, he gives us all paperwork, and we all sign off and say it's okay for him to search. And before he searches, really when he gives us the paperwork, he tells us, he goes, from here on out, you're going to be treated as prisoners. So if you've got a weapon in here, you need to tell me ahead of time, because if I find it, we're going to prosecute you for trying to bring a weapon into a jail. If You have somebody in here's a secret stoner, and you got a little doobie in your guitar case. And I don't know why he looked right at me when he said that. He goes, if any of you got any weed in your guitar case or something, and we find it, you're going to go to prison for it. You're going to go to jail. So before you sign that, before you search, if there's anything like that, now's your time to get out. Now's your time to leave. We'll let you go. But from here on in, you're in trouble if you brought anything in this room. So we signed it. He took about an hour, 45 minutes maybe, to search everything. I mean, thoroughly. And then the other door, the other wall opposite of the door we came in, it opens up. And when it opens up, that's inside the prison, right? And he stands there while we load all our gear through that door. And once we get out of that door closes behind him, behind us, and he's in there, and we're in the prison, and he's not. And I guess I thought that there would be guards in there with us, protecting us. I guess I thought that I didn't realize that they were just dumping us and all of our gear right into the prison population. Like that door opened up right into the cafeteria where we were having the concert. And there was a low riser stage set up there and some bleachers right there in front of the stage. But it was in the big common area. The prison itself was an octagon. I don't know if this was a Supermax prison or what this was. I couldn't believe they let us in here. I don't know who pulled the strings to make this happen, but this was hardcore, full-on security, maximum security prison. And anyway, we were in there setting up, and we were just inmates came right up to us. I'm like, "Can we help? Can we help you set up?" And I was just wigged out about it. The very first thing I noticed as soon as I stepped out that door and into the prison area was the smell. I've seen a lot of prison movies, but it's not smell-o-vision. And I can tell you, you don't want to go to prison because of the smell. If anybody here's been to prison, you're going to know what I'm talking about. And maybe, I guess you get used to it pretty quick. Come to think of it, I kind of got used to it by the end of the night. But at first it hit me like, the stinkiest locker room you can think of, just a whole lot of feet. There was just a whole lot of feet and BO going on in that place. And no air moving. Very claustrophobic. Like I said, it made me realize I do not want to go to prison. So we set up to do the show, and I guess there was about maybe 25 or 30 hardcore Christians. There was a hardcore Christian group. They were there, the ones that wanted to help us load in, And but most of the rest of the inmates were not even really paying attention. They were doing whatever in this big common area. And I guess it was during a time when they had their cells all open and everybody was just coming and going. There was no lockdown. Everybody could just come and go out of their cells. And at any rate, as soon as we started sound checking, there was this person way back in the cell block, probably from his cell, with an enormous voice. Like, he didn't need a microphone, this guy. And he starts yelling curses to Christians, like "F you, you Christian," and calling us pedophiles, and just cursing God, and just saying the most vile and awful things, while we're trying to sound check. Now, as soon as the music stops, he stops yelling. As soon as we stop, And anyway, so the crowd there starts to grow a little bit as it becomes obvious that we're going to start playing. And we start playing, and as soon as we start playing, that guy in the back, who, to me, he seemed louder than the little PA system we brought in there. And he was just, the whole time, he's screaming, just obscenities, telling us to shut the F up. And so right on the front row, one of these biggest guys who was part of the Christian group, he's just been like, he's been Mr. Happy. He's been clapping his hands. He was so glad to see us, and this guy is now messing with his concert. And so as soon as the first song stops, this guy, this friendly guy, stands up, turns around, and screams back into the cell block. Now, there's hundreds of feet back to where this guy's at, back in the cell block. And he screams, "You shut up, or I'm going to come there and visit you. I know who you are, and I'm coming to get you. You better quit right now." The guy quit yelling. Like, he took the threat seriously. And we won the whole crowd over, honestly. We were good musicians, and it was good music, and we were well rehearsed, well practiced. And it went really well, and the people that were Christians there got blessed by our presence. And it was weird, I can't imagine what it would be like to be the women in there. Because we were in there with no guards. There was nobody. We were inside, and then there was this catwalk with armed guards with shotguns. There were armed guards with shotguns, but they were on the other side of like plexiglass and chain link fence, you know, like they were protected on these catwalks where, you know, nobody could get to them. You know, none, but we were down there with the inmates. It was, I mean, we were shaking hands with them. We were right there with them. We were in the prison with them. It's weird. It's what I got a taste of what it might feel like to be locked up in a place like that. It was way more than I could handle. I would not want to be in there. And honestly, I couldn't wait to get out. My claustrophobia kicked in as soon as they put us in that room, that first room with all our gear, and that door came down. Chill run up and down my spine. Hair on the back of my neck stood up. I'm like, whoa, this is real. This just got real. So I will say that I haven't been back to do ministry inside the prisons like that again. I would do it again if offered the opportunity. I haven't had the opportunity, but also haven't sought it out because, yeah, prison is not someplace I want to be. And it was nice to minister to those people, and I encourage you to do that if you haven't done it at least once. If you're in ministry, it's important. It's required of us as Christians to visit people in prison. But that kind of in the cell block concert, whew, yeah, I'm just glad those Christian guys were big and scary. Like, no one was going to mess with us because we had about 30 bodyguards. I was so glad they were there. I was actually happier that they were there than I was with the guards with the shotguns up on the catwalks. Because, you know, they wouldn't have time to protect us. But those 30 guys up front, they would have given their lives to protect us because we came there to minister to them. But that is my time in maximum security prison. All right, till next time.